Hi, I'm Paul from pdhsports, leading online racket specialist, and today I'm very lucky to have Laura Massaro with me. Hi Laura.
Hiya.
Laura's the former world champion, former world #1, and she's very kindly come to Duffield Squash Club today to do part of our What's in a Bag series. Laura, first of all, if we could maybe have a little look at what rackets you're using. I think you're using the new rackets, aren't you, already?
Yeah, I am. Really excited to be using the new head speed racket. So obviously had these for a few weeks now, been playing with them, really enjoying the feel of it. I played with the Xenon, which is a closed throat racket, for the majority of my career. I've been with head, and I switched over to these open throat rackets about 1.5 years ago, and yeah, really enjoying the feel of it, particularly this new 135 speed racket. Yeah.
So this is like actually the first time I've seen this racket. So it's got the new 360 graphene technology, which basically means that it's got the graphene now around the whole of the head. So you think you can tell the difference in this new technology?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing about playing with the head rackets over the last 7 or 8 years of my career that I feel like head are at the forefront of making technological changes within the racket, and actual changes that you feel like you can actually see a difference and feel a difference with when you're on the court. So the graphene technology from the rackets previous were in sections of the racket but not in the head of the racket, and so with the 360 technology, it's now in the head of the racket, and I think you'll really notice a difference, and I'm certainly noticing a difference when I hit the ball on contact and through contact, that little bit more control through the head of the racket, which is been really nice to get to grips and have that feel on there.
So a couple of interesting things. First of all, the switch from the Xenon, which is probably a bit more head heavy and different shape. You have talked to me off camera about the fact that this, you can see on the picture, has got the fan string in. So do you want to just tell us a little bit why you've gone for the adaptive fan string? Because when our customers will see this racket, it will come with the normal traditional, but you've gone for the more complicated, but the fan stringing system. Do you want to explain a little bit?
Yeah, so as I said, I've played with the Xenon, which closed throat racket, for the majority of the time I've been with head. I chose to go to an open throat racket because I wanted to try and get a little bit more control and a little bit more speed. The Xenon, for anyone who knows, is a little bit more weighty in the head. So this is the same weight racket, 135, but going to the open throat racket really helped me feel like I could manipulate my swing a little bit quicker, and the way that the women's game is going at the very top, it's quicker, it's faster, and it just enabled me to really feel like I could cut balls off a little bit earlier, a little bit better with my short game. The Xenon racket was unbelievable. I won pretty much all of my major titles with that racket, and I absolutely loved it. So it was a bit of a bit of heartbreak to move away, but what I felt like I gained with this racket, was what I needed to try and move my game on a little bit more from there. So actually can't recommend both rackets enough, but at the moment this one's really suiting the way I want my game to go.
Okay, so just before we put this back and we look into your bag, the strings, because people are always interested in the strings. So 2 questions. One, what tension and what string have you put in there?
So I string mine at 27 pounds, and it's the Technofiber 1.1, so quite thin string. And obviously you asked before about the fan shaped, and that was purely because the Xenon racket, being a closed throat, had a lot more string in it. So go to an open throat and just do the standard stringing pattern meant that there wasn't a lot of string in the racket in comparison. So to fan the racket out like this makes it, you put a lot more string into the racket, makes the holes between each string a lot smaller, which is just to try and replicate the feel of the Xenon in terms of string.
And how do you find, because obviously 1.1's the thinner out of all the gauges, how does that last?
Again, it lasts me okay. I'm not someone who puts a huge amount of cut on the ball, so luckily I'm not going through it super quickly, but Again, just a way to try and get a little bit of extra control. If I use a thick string with that fan pattern, then the gaps are almost, you know, non-existent, and actually using a thick string with that much string in the racket can add quite a bit of weight to the racket as well. So we're talking really fine points here, and you know, I think just probably sticking to a simple string pattern with a thicker string is probably the best way for most amateur players to get the most durability and longevity out of your racket and your string as well.
And can anyone string this racket, or are you very particular with your, because obviously you said 27 pounds. We've seen some of the people that we've done it gone, oh well, anyone can do it, and then others go, no, it has to be done by one person.
No, I do all my own rackets, mainly because I've strung rackets from a really young age. From when I was a young pro, it was a really, you know, good way to make a bit of money to string rackets at the club. So I've got my own machine, but it's quite old now, and you know, I know the machine and I know how I like my rackets, so I just string my rackets up fresh before a tournament and do them all myself. Excellent.
So, final question on the rackets. How many rackets would you carry normally in your bag?
When I'm going away to a tournament, I normally carry 5, all freshly strung, all freshly gripped up. When I'm practicing, normally 3 or 4, really, just to make my bag a bit lighter.
Okay, and the bag, so this is the Tour Team range.
Yep.
And you've got your, which the normal, we don't sell it with this on, but this is the team logo for all the sponsored players, but this bag is available at pdhsports. So do you want to just give us what else have we got in your bag that's going to be of interest?
Yeah, well, obviously starting with the bag itself, brilliant technology for anyone who is travelling around. Obviously has the cool warm technology you can see on the inside of the bag. Great protector of, you know, your string tension, your rackets, everything that goes with keeping your rackets safe while you're travelling. You know, really spacious. I think this bag comes in a 2 compartment as well. And actually, I don't know if anyone's any commented on this, but I'm really fussy when I ask for my racket bags. It has to be an attached strap for anyone who orders the head bags. You can have the clip-on straps, and this makes it so much easier to carry. So I love the fact that it's actually sewn in. Really spacious, loads of compartments. It's a brilliant bag to have.
Yeah.
And then just going in, so obviously in my rackets and skipping rope.
Yeah.
Did have an old-fashioned leather one up until a few weeks ago, and then realised how many more double unders I can do with a thin CrossFit one. Do a lot of skipping in my training and in my warm-up, so always have that in my bag. And then just going into the rest of my bag, obviously I'm sure everyone's aware, you know, you've got your standard stuff that you need. Towel, really important, obviously always using that when I'm off court. Squash trainers.
Yeah, so just what shoes is it you?
Currently wearing the Asics Gel Beyond, brilliant shoe, used Asics the majority of my career.
And just interestingly there, you've got orthotics in there.
Yeah, not an orthotics as such, but it's a heel cup, just a simple heel cup you can buy online. Really find that it helps just with the cushioning through the heel when you're pounding around the court.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The large bands.
Yeah.
What are you using that
for? A little bit of stretching after matches, after training. Really good to have that in my bag. A little bit of hip opening for anyone who struggles with hips. You can tie it round posts and attach it around your legs. Really get some good feel, opening up the hips.
Sliders.
Yeah. Anyone who's seen these are called Val slides. So they work basically on soft surfaces like a towel or anything like this, and you put your back foot maybe on one and front and get into a lunge position. You're trying to control lunges, get some extra length through the lunge and stability, you know, all the positions that you're trying to look to do on the squash court.
So all stuff that's very important to even club players that, you know, if they're going to take their squash seriously, they could have things like that, couldn't they, in there to help them move around the court better? I
think everything that adds the little extras if you want to improve, you know, you're looking at flexibility, you're looking at strength, you're looking at control of movement, stretching down, warming up, you know, the skipping rope and the band, and, you know, hockey balls and things, golf balls for your feet, things like this just to get into your glutes. Obviously everyone knows how much of a battering your body takes, so yeah, just looking after your body really more than, you know, than probably most people. Personally for me, always carrying wristbands, can't literally play without a wristband. Grips, using the RAB grips, have done for most of my career, brilliant grips. Probably a stopwatch for anyone who, you know, is always doing extra training after sessions, the extra bits as I was just talking about, bits at the beginning, court sprints at the end, you know, always need a stopwatch for everything, so it's always in there. So
just with the grips then, finally, are you particular on the colour? Do you always use the same colour?
Yep, always this colour. I get sent like 30 at a time in this colour, and for a long time I was using the string as well, so it matched up with the green. Obviously still does with the Technofibre, so I liked the feel of having green string, green grips. Yeah.
Excellent. Right, so there you have it. Thank you very much for that very in-depth look into your bag. Some really good insights into the rackets and everything like that, and what you carry in there. So yeah, thank you, Laura, very much for your time this morning.
No problem.